just went to a core 40 class, which is definitely one of my favorite workouts in Amsterdam, and they have this infrared light room in the back, which I'd never tried before, so I just spent about like 20 minutes reading my book in there, which was really nice, and now I'm heading back home. I've been wanting to make this video to remind you guys that you don't need to rebrand yourself every January. I know there can be a lot of pressure towards a new year about goals and having to achieve so many different things, and that can just feel very overwhelming. But honestly, January isn't about making massive changes to your life. It's just a part of the process, and January is still the middle of winter. So it's also just the time to hibernate. So if you do get very overwhelmed in January, here are 3 easy and pretty tangible tasks that you can do every day that won't actually break your brain. Try to go out for a little walk or just any sort of movement that you enjoy, because it kind of just shifts your mood and clears your mind. Writing down a 2025 small achievements list, because this kind of shifts your focus from what you should be doing to think more positively about things that you already did achieve. And this also means, because it's a small achievements list, that there are more smaller things on it which you probably wouldn't have thought about if you just thought about your goals or achievements, because they're super small. They're still achievements. So writing those down definitely can help with thinking more positively about the past year. And pick out a new book or podcast or series to start, because having something low effort to just look forward to every day can just add a little bit of comfort. And if you do feel very low or heavy this month, let January just be a month where you just focus on gently easing into the new year and focusing on self-care and rest. That being said, I'm drinking my matcha, but for me personally, I do love a New Year's reset. Not because I want to change my entire life or totally reinvent myself, but for me it's just a very motivating moment to start up my habits again. And practically the things that I want to do and focus on are not new things that I haven't done before. They're mostly just things that I kind of fell off with, and now it just feels like the right time to get back into all of those. So basically I'm just implementing things that I know in the long run will make me feel a lot better, even though they can be a little bit hard right now, because yes, I would love to just scroll on TikTok every single night, but in the end I know that that's not gonna make me feel good, because I'm trying to make myself realize that every time I do that the morning after, I would have much rather done something that actually calms me down, and a 10-minute scroll would have definitely been enough. So I'd much rather take a relaxing shower, read in my book, or just chat to Yup. Honestly, anything other than mindlessly scrolling, because that honestly has never made me feel a lot better. And if I do feel like watching something, I'd much rather watch like movies or a series with my boyfriend, because that's still less of a dopamine hit and it's just less stimulation than constantly scrolling. So those things I'm trying to remind myself that are habits that I would love to do, but right now they're hard because I just haven't really been focusing on that for a long time. And also sometimes it's not always about adding more habits to your life, because sometimes removing habits can be just as nice, because we already feel like we're doing too much. I've definitely noticed that if you one night want to change your entire life and go from 0 to 15 habits every single day, after a week you realize it's not working, because you're forcing yourself to do so many different things every single day, which is just so much harder than if you would have started with one habit. So start with like 5 habits, and also de-skill the habits in itself. So if you want to hit 10,000 steps every day and drink 3 liters of water, start with 5,000 steps and 3 glasses of water the first week, because you definitely notice that it feels a lot more doable, which obviously makes it easier to stick with and actually be consistent. And then you can just slowly build those habits up and increase over time. But don't want to change your life in like one day all out of the sudden, because that's not gonna stick. I mean, maybe it does work for you, but for most people that's just not gonna work. So I'm just trying to remind myself of those things and try to take January a bit more slow and kind of take off the pressure of such an overwhelming month, because I feel like, especially on social media, January is just a very pressured month, and we don't want to do that. I have been sitting here working for a while, and in December I really felt this like overwhelming feeling of having to do more. Almost like I had to hit certain goals before the new year started, as if like everything needed to be figured out by January, which is honestly so untrue. And something I've really noticed recently is how consuming social media really adds to that pressure, especially in January. Everyone just seems to be doing everything all at once, like new routines, new habits, new goals, and it can just make you feel like you're already behind. But honestly, behind on what? The new year barely even started, and even if you do feel behind, there's literally no timeline that you're supposed to be following. Like, everyone moves on their own pace, so how are you behind on things already? And something that's very important to remember with that is that on social media, people usually only share the things that they do achieve instead of also sharing the things that they don't achieve, because social media is and will always be a highlight reel, so people choose what they share. So please keep that in mind next time you think like this. But I definitely do understand the feeling, because I definitely also sometimes feel like that. So I think if you're feeling a bit more sensitive to this, something that you can try to do is, instead of setting very strict and big goals for yourself, maybe try to set some intentions. Goals can feel very all or nothing, when intentions are a bit more flexible and they can kind of give you some direction without all of the pressure. So maybe that can feel a bit more realistic for you for this season. Of course, it's a good thing to have goals and wanting to grow and improve, but it's not all that matters. Sometimes slowing down and focusing on rest and self-care is honestly just as valuable. At least that's something that's been working a lot better for my focus and motivation for this time of year. Also, making changes to your environment, if you feel like it's not right, can definitely also help with motivation and productivity, because we have actually been changing up our living room. You might be able to see it in this vlog here and there, but I'll show that more in a different video. But that has definitely been doing a lot for us. Within those changes, we actually sold our couch yesterday. We bought a new couch a few weeks ago, but it still hasn't arrived, and I think it's on the way, so hopefully it's gonna arrive anytime soon, like I hope this week or next week. But because of that, we wanted to sell our other couch, and she picked it up yesterday, so now we have like a whole empty living room, which is kind of weird. But I wanted to go to a cafe and read my book for a little bit as a little work break. So because we have no couch, it seems like a very good idea to go to a cozy cafe to read instead of laying on the couch. Go for a little walk, go to this cafe. I actually have never been to this cafe before, but it looks really nice. And just take a proper break from working from home. I feel like that's something that's also really been working for me sometimes, and especially now at like the almost end of the afternoon. I don't know, working from home almost all of the days of the week kind of also sometimes doesn't really work for motivation. So I like to sometimes switch it up and go to a cafe. And I'm not actually gonna work at the cafe now, but that's something I also like to do for changing up the scenery. So instead of just constantly working on new things and hitting goals and just feeling so pressured and overwhelmed in January, we're just gonna do it a bit differently this year, and also focus on slowing down and just doing things that actually calm you down. I'm gonna go to the cafe and just read in my book for a little bit. Take my makeup off, and I actually got this like set from The Ordinary for Christmas. And a few weeks ago I actually got rid of a lot of old products that I wasn't using and were just old, so I threw a lot of things away, and now I only have the things that are still good and I can still use. And I also have this other like moisturizing cream that I once got as a gift, and I never used it for literally no reason, and I've been using it a lot at night because it's kind of a thick cream, and honestly it's just so nice nice on my face. So this is your reminder to use things, because it's not a waste to use them. So I'm gonna go take my makeup off, and I'm so excited to get into bed because I had a really bad night sleep last night, and I have a few pretty busy days ahead, so I kind of just want to have a cozy night in, sleep, read my book, because I was reading at the cafe, and honestly I'm reading The Housemaid, and I was sitting there and I think the first plot twist of the book happened, so I just didn't want to put it down and go home, but the cafe was closing, so I had to go home. But if I can believe like the reviews and everything of this book, there are a lot more plot twists to come, so I'm actually really curious, and I kind of want to finish it quickly, which I actually think I will, because I think I'm over halfway with only reading like 3 times or 2 times, I think, because it's not a very thick book. So I think I'm gonna finish it pretty fast, and then I want to watch the movie. I don't really often go to the movies, so now that this movie is out and I have the book now, I really wanted to read it and go see the movies in the cinema, because I never go to the cinema, so I feel like this is a nice opportunity to go. This was a pretty cozy day. I feel like I have a lot of trouble adjusting to the whole January blues thing, because I do notice that I do actually recognize myself in putting that much pressure on like this month and everything, but it's not something that I want to do. So I feel like today I was just kind of focusing on taking it a bit more slow, and also reading and focusing on like other things than only work and reaching goals. That was just very wholesome vibes. And to end it off, I'm gonna use this little cream that I was talking about. In the wintertime, I just love going to bed with a very moisturized and shiny face, because my skin gets so dry in the wintertime, so it's been really nice to focus a bit more on skincare with these products and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna go grab my little snack and get ready for bed.